Today we are looking at a funding round that is easy to scroll past but actually reveals something important about where healthcare infrastructure investment is heading. On May 12th, a company called Forus announced it had raised over $160 million at a $1 billion valuation. The round was led by Thrive Capital and General Catalyst. The company is expecting about $50 million in annualized revenue this year. That is a 20 times revenue multiple at the Series B stage. And the founders are not pitching another AI-powered workflow tool. They are pitching something structurally different. Here is the first thing worth understanding. Healthcare is not, at its core, a care delivery industry. It is a transaction-routing economy. Every prior authorization is a transaction. Every benefits verification, every formulary check, every specialty pharmacy assignment, every copay enrollment, every refill authorization. These events happen tens of millions of times every week, and the entire intermediary economy in American healthcare exists because of the friction at the seams between them. PBMs exist because the system is fragmented. Clearinghouses exist because the system is fragmented. Revenue cycle vendors, specialty pharmacies, hub services companies, all of them exist because of that same fragmentation. And here is the uncomfortable part. If someone collapsed that fragmentation, they would erase trillions of dollars of intermediary revenue, which is exactly why no incumbent will ever volunteer to fix it. The companies that have actually gotten large in healthcare technology did not do it by building clean interfaces. They did it by inserting themselves into transaction flow. CoverMyMeds sold to McKesson for roughly $1.4 billion because it became the de facto rails for electronic prior authorization. SureScripts is a network, not a product. Change Healthcare was a clearinghouse before the $13 billion acquisition. The pattern is consistent. Software seats are a tax. Transaction control is a toll. The difference compounds over time. The second key point is why now. A decade ago, rebuilding the administrative plumbing of healthcare was a theoretically interesting problem that no one could make the economics work on. The reason it is hitting an inflection point today is specialty drugs. A modern specialty therapy can cost $60,000 a year on the low end and $3 million as a one-time treatment on the high end. When a prescription carries that kind of value, every operational failure carries an enormous shadow cost. A prior authorization delayed by a week of back and forth means a manufacturer loses a fully written script. A benefits verification routed to the wrong specialty pharmacy blows up patient onboarding entirely. The transaction layer became economically valuable in a way it simply was not when most prescriptions were generic statins. Manufacturers will now pay a meaningful fee per script started if the alternative is losing patients to abandonment. The third thing to understand is why traditional digital health SaaS kept plateauing. The graveyard of healthcare technology is full of beautifully designed products that hit a wall somewhere between 30 and 70 million in annual recurring revenue and never broke through. The structural reason is that enterprise SaaS scales when workflows standardize, but healthcare workflows do the opposite. They fragment continuously because reimbursement rules change, formulary positions shift, payer requirements evolve, and specialty drug economics move faster than any roadmap can track. Every standard a company ships is obsolete within 12 months. Add to that the network problem. A patient access platform is only useful if the manufacturer, the provider, the pharmacy, and the hub are all reachable through the same connection. If any one of them is missing, the operator still has to maintain a parallel process. The only way the economics work is if you control the connections on multiple sides at once, which means you are running a network, not a product. The fourth key point is what Forus actually built and why the model is structured the way it is. The product sits inside the physician workflow at the point of prescribing. It handles prior authorization, benefits verification, pharmacy routing, and patient enrollment, and it gives everyone real-time visibility into where a case is stuck. Reported results show approvals that used to take months closing in 2 to 3 days, and median time to therapy dropping from over a week to roughly 1 day. The product is free to providers and patients. Revenue comes from biopharma manufacturers who pay because they get patients on therapy faster. 5 of the top 10 global pharma companies are reportedly already paying customers, and provider adoption grew roughly 10 times year over year for 2 consecutive years, reportedly through word of mouth alone. That structure, free to the demand side, monetized through the supply side, is the same business model that built Google and Visa. By removing the price barrier for the side of the market with the budget squeeze, adoption accelerates. By monetizing the side that directly captures the operational return, willingness to pay scales with the value of the underlying transaction rather than with the number of seats. That is the setup. The harder questions, about whether this position is defensible when the incumbent stack fights back, about how AI changes the cost structure of orchestration, and about what the broader thesis means for operators and investors, we cover in Part 2. Subscribe to On Healthcare for Part 2 and the full analysis. The link is below. Subscribe to www.onhealthcare.tech for free and paid articles, podcasts, and more. For a further deep dive on the topic from today's video teaser, see the podcast and article link in the comments.